Hey everyone, this is Kathy from K-Dale Handmade, and I wanted to welcome you to my video tutorial today, which is another in the Marathon Sewciety's Marathon Sewing series. Today we are going to be making the Willow Wristlet. You can make it as a wristlet or as a crossbody, and this is from Amber over at Sew Majestic. And I just wanted to say thank you so much to Amber for allowing us to use her pattern in today's Marathon series. All right, so there's not many pieces in this pattern. Let me just show you the version that I'm going to be doing. It's going to be a really fun Nightmare Before Christmas. And so since it's directional fabric, I had to turn it on the angle to create the two exterior panels. And these have been interfaced with Decoville Heavy. Now, the pattern does give suggestions for what you would interface this with, but I wanted mine to be a little bit more structured, so that's why I'm using Decoville Heavy. I also have two lining pieces. These are waterproof canvas and they are not interfaced. You will also have a gusset. This is going to be the side or the bottom of the gusset, and since I'm using directional fabric, I added a 1/2 inch to the length of this pattern piece, cut it in half, matched the bottom, sewed it across at 3/8 inch, well, 1/4 inch, and then I pressed it open so that on my bag the gusset will be going the right way around, and then I added again Decoville Heavy to this, and then I just top stitched. Once I had the Decoville Heavy attached, I top stitched to help hold that in place. You will also have a lining piece for this. Then you will have your zipper gusset, again, 2 exterior, 2 lining. Now these ones I interfaced with Decoville Light because it is the zipper. I wanted them to be a little bit easier to move, so Decoville Light, no interfacing again because it's the waterproof canvas. And then I have the Dring connector piece. I've interfaced that as well, and I've gone all the way to the end for this one for the interfacing because we're going to be cutting this in half, and I just didn't want to miss any part of that there. Then the last thing you will need is your zipper, and I decided to do a double zipper, so I attached both of my zipper pulls. And then you will need, if you're doing a wrist strap or a shoulder strap, you'll need a strap of some sort. I am using this really cute shorter chain, and so I think this would be really cute as like a little handle, or you could even clip both of these to the same, and then it could be a wristlet. So that is the chain that I'm going to be using to make my bag today. Now the other things that you might need, of course, some snips, some clips. You probably will want some double-sided tape, and then make sure, just in case, if you need it, your seam ripper is not too far away. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we are going to be working on is our zipper gusset. Okay, so to make the zipper gusset, what you're going to need is your 4 zipper gusset pieces, your 2 exterior, your 2 interior, and your zipper. So because I'm using directional fabric, I want this bag to kind of go both ways. So I'm going to take one of my gussets and flip it around. And I think that way, no matter which way you hold your bag, I mean, they're going opposite ways, yes, but I think it will make it symmetrical in the end result, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my exteriors and I'm going to use double-sided tape. So just laying it along the top edge here. You don't have to use double-sided tape, but I prefer using it for zippers like this because I think that it helps to hold it in place and it prevents it from slipping, especially if you have your zipper pulls already attached, because right where the zipper pull is, the zipper tape does want to wiggle a bit. It does want to, you know, it kind of waves because that's where the bulk is in the zipper. So for me, that just helps to hold it, and it gives me a smoother zipper in the end result. And then I'm going to take my lining piece. lay that down right side on top of that. So again, it's exterior right side up, zipper teeth side down, interior zipper gusset is right side down. So we're sandwiching the zipper in between. We're going to clip this in place all the way across, and then we are going to take it to the sewing machine, stitch across here according to the seam allowance. Once you get that stitch, we're going to press both of these panels away from the zipper and top stitch. And then I will be back to show you the next step, but it's basically the exact same thing with the other half of the zipper gusset. Okay, so that side is stitched on. So I sewed down according to the seam allowance, and then I pressed both panels away from the zipper tape and then top stitched. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So taking my other lining piece, I'm going to lay it on top of that. Again, I just want to make sure that mine are kind of going in the opposite direction, which is, for my purpose, the correct direction. So this is the side I want attached to the zipper. And so I'm going to, again, just put some double-sided tape here. And that also will help me to remember, because I'm going to flip it over, that this is the side that I need to attach the zipper to make sure that everything stays the way I want it to. All right, so now I'm just going to line up the zipper and the gusset. So I lined it up on the side, lined the zipper tape up on the top, and then this is the part, like I said, where it wants to wiggle because the zipper pulls are right there. Once I get that down, just like that, looking good, I'll take my other gusset. Let's see, that's with this particular waterproof canvas, it looks very similar on both sides, so it's a little tricky. I guess the good thing is because it does look so similar, if you happen to get a piece flipped around, it's not a big deal, right? Okay, so now that I've got that one clipped on, I'm going to repeat the process. So stitching down here, flipping both panels away, and then top stitching. All right, so here is my finished zipper portion of the gusset. It is a little bit longer here, so I'm just going to trim that off. And then I'm going to grab my lighter again and just singe the end of the zipper tape very lightly. And that's just to help it so it won't fray once we get it all sewn together. Okay, the last thing we need to do here is just confirm that our gusset and the zipper part of our gusset are the same size. The pattern is written for a specific width of zipper tape, which if you are using zipper tape by the yard, that's the measurement that the pattern is written for. So you just want to double check your gusset, and if there is any adjustment that needs to be made, for instance, if I hold it all the way down to one side, you can see I'm probably about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, a little bit longer. So I might trim off about 1/8 of an inch off of each side, and that's just to make sure that my zipper gusset and then the bag part of the gusset lines up perfectly. Okay, and then once you do that, we can set these to the side and we're going to work on the D-ring. Okay, so grabbing your D-ring piece, you're going to flip it over. You can write or draw a line straight down the center. What we are going to do is we're just going to fold this in. So the measurements are provided for in the pattern, but since I used this piece of interfacing here, that's kind of my fold line. So I'm just going to fold each side in, and as you can see, they meet right there in the center. And then I'm going to turn it over, take it to the machine, and top stitch down each side. All right, so that is top stitched. Now what we need to do is we need to cut this in half, and this is going to create the 2 D-ring tabs that we need for our bag. If you're only doing a wristlet and you know for a fact you're only ever going to use this as a wristlet, you can just make one of these. I'm not sure, like I said in the beginning, that I'm going to have a short strap that can be turned into a wristlet, so I'm making 2 of these. Now you're going to take it and put it over one of your D-rings. And then you have 2 options here. You can stitch as close as you can to the end of the D-ring hardware here, or you can add a rivet. And I like how rivets look, so I'm going to add a rivet. If I can hold it right. And then I have my little hole punch tool here. So I'm just trying to get it centered on the piece and as close as I can get to the D-ring hardware, but still leave room so that I can actually get the rivet in there and get it set without running into the D-ring. You know what I mean? Because if I put it up too far, like I could probably get the hole a little closer, but then the edge of the rivet would run into this and it wouldn't set right, and that would not work. So that's how I'm going to do that. And I'll do the same thing for the other one. Okay. Okay, now that I have rivets in each, I'm going to take these over to my table press. I'm just going to set these rivets and then we will be ready to attach them to your zipper gusset, and then we're going to be adding the bottom part of the gusset to the bag. Okay, so here are my 2 little rivets that are set. Now what we're going to do is, again, if you're using only a wristlet option, you don't need both of these little D-ring tabs here, but I'm doing the crossbody option. So I'm going to line these up right on top of the zipper on both sides of the bag, and I have the tab hanging over by about 1/4 of an inch on each side. I'm just going to add another clip there just to make it, since I'm on a zipper and it's a little wobbly, just to make sure it holds good. Okay, now we're going to baste both of these onto the zipper. All right, now that that is basted on, what we need to do, our 2 D-rings are basted on. So what we're going to do now is attach our gusset. So you need the exterior and the lining for the gusset. We're going to take one side, flip it over, so these are right sides together, and you want the exterior and the exterior facing each other. And then we're going to flip it over, take our lining piece of our gusset and lay it right side down on top of the lining gusset. So lining gussets are right sides together, exterior gussets are right sides together. Now we're going to stitch across this end here according to the seam allowance. Press both panels away and then top stitch along that folded edge. All right, so that's what that looks like. Again, we stitched it, we folded both panels away and then top stitched, and I have a random string on the bottom. So I'm going to trim that up. I'm not sure how that got there. You guys ever have that? You just have like the, you're like, I know I was holding the thread ends, and then somehow there's like a random string that somehow always gets in there. I don't know if it was in the machine or if it was on my table or what. Okay, there we go. That's better. All right, so now we're going to repeat the process for the other side. So taking the unattached end of your gusset, you're going to bring it up and align it with this end of the zipper part of the gusset. Flipping it over, you're gonna do the same thing with the lining, bringing that up, lining that, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna stitch across according to the seam allowance, then press both panels away from that stitch line, and then top stitch along that folded edge. All right, you got a nice little circle going. We folded back both gusset sides, top stitched. Now what we want to do is just take it to the sewing machine and just baste stitch all the way around both sides of the bag. So you just want to baste stitch the lining and the exterior together. This is not a required step, but it will make attaching the next piece, your outside piece in the next step, it will make it a lot easier. So I am going to go baste all the way around both sides, and then I'll be back to show the next step. Okay, now that that is basted around, what we need to do is we need to find the corners. So we're going to do the top and the bottom corner, and I'm just going to add a couple clips here to help hold it, so hopefully it doesn't slip while I'm marking these corners. And again, I'm just lining up this folded edge right here. Just adding those couple clips there. All right, and then coming all the way up to the top, I'm just going to add the tiniest little snip just to give me a little bit of a little cut there so I know where the center is. And I'm going to do that on the other side as well, which conveniently lines up with my bottom seam. So that is a good thing. That lets me know that so far everything is lining up just as it should. Okay. All right, so now that we have the top and bottom notched on this one, we're going to match up these notches. And we're going to do the same things so we know where the sides should go. Okay, now coming over to this side. So these are going to make our 4 corners of our bag. All right, and then coming down to the other side, last 4 here, last 2 I should say. Okay, so now we have the top and bottom and the 2 sides marked so we know where the corners are going to be. I'm going to set that to the side. Then we're going to grab the exterior pieces, and we're going to do the same thing. We need to know where the exact corners are for this. So what we want to do is fold it in half. And I'm going to try to not press. The waterproof canvas will hold enough for me to make a little mark, but I don't want to press my Decoville Heavy too much because I don't want it to keep that, keep a permanent fold. So I'm just going to match up those, coming down here. And then same for this side, coming down. Mark that corner. So now each of the corners have a little notch marked in them. We're going to do the exact same thing to the other side. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to take one of these panels and we are going to attach it to your gusset. So turning the gusset inside out, we're going to take the panel and flip it over. So now this is the top, and then here is my zipper. That is the top of the bag. So I'm going to match up these notches first. And actually, I think I'm going to use a little staple. So this is my favorite Tim Holtz mini stapler. If you guys follow my channel, if you see my videos, I use it a lot. I just think it really helps especially around turns, curves and corners and things. It helps to hold things in place really well. Okay, so I'm just connecting each of the 4 corners. Well, I just ran out of staples. All right, I guess I'll have to refill my stapler before I do the other side. All right, and then once you have your corners, you're just going to ease your gusset around, or ease your bag around your gusset. So I'm just going to see what I can do here. I'm going to clip that in place all the way around. And you're going to do this to all 4 sides all the way around. You're just going to clip the exterior panel to the gusset. Okay, so here's what that looks like. To add another clip right here. Now what we need to do is we need to sew these panels together. So I'm going to take it over to the machine. I'm going to flip it over with this side against the table of the sewing machine. I'm going to press the gusset back, and then I'm going to stitch all the way around all 4 corners according to the seam allowance that is provided in the pattern. Okay, so there we are. It's all stitched around. As you can see, it did shift a tiny bit, but I looked at it, I turned it through. You can always do this if you want to double check. Just kind of turn it through, see how it looks, and you can't tell. So I'm not going to stress about that. But what I do want to do is in each of these corners, I'm just going to make a couple snips here within the seam allowance. I'm probably going to trim this extra off because I don't want it to add any bulk there, but I'm just adding a couple snips here into, let's see, I got some strings here too, into the corners, and that is just going to help it to sit a little bit nicer. Once you turn it through, it'll help the corners to sit nice. I'm going to do that in all 4 corners. I don't know if you can see my stitch line here. Looks like I was on a boat. It's a little wavy. But like I said, I'm not too worried about it. I mean, here, I'll show it to you just so you know. We're not all perfect. It's okay. It's okay. If that bugs you, you can obviously unpick. It does not bug me. It's going to be on the inside of the bag. And again, like I said, once I turn it through, you're not going to see it. So I am not worried about it. But definitely, if you do that and it bugs you, then go ahead and unpick and restitch. But I think the one thing that I am going to do on this other side is I'm going to use staples around the whole side instead of clips. And I think that's just going to help it so that it doesn't shift as much, or if at all. All right, so to attach the other side, we just want to make sure we open the zipper first. And then again, I'm using directional, so this is the top. It's going to go at the top here where the zipper is. And I'm going to staple it in place. And I'm going to do that to the 4 corners first. There we go. Now that I got the 4 corners clipped, I'm going to staple just like I did on the other side. I'm going to do the exact same thing with attaching the panel to the gusset, but I'm going to use staples instead. Okay, there we go. That side is stapled on. So now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, flip it over this way, and do the exact same thing. I'm going to sew all the way around. And then if you are using mini staplers, you might want to remove the staplers. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, depending on if I think they're going to be a problem or not. So I haven't quite decided yet how I feel about these staples. I'll probably remove at least some of them, but I will do that, clip the 4 corners again, do little snips into the 4 corners, and then we are ready for the next step. Okay, so the next step is we're going to attach the lining. So this basically is going to go in the same exact spot. Now I will say the pattern construction method calls for you to attach the outer and the lining. So you would take it, before you attach it to the gusset, you would take it like this, base stitch it around, and then do this all in one step. I did not do that. I got a little bit ahead of myself. But it's not a big deal because I already have everything being held. So all I have to do, I mean, my gussets and my exterior, everything is already together. So all I have to do is I just have to clip this in place all the way around and then stitch this on just like I did. Basically, I'm repeating the same, I'm doing the same thing twice. So tip, don't do what I did. It's not a big deal if you do. It's just adding an extra step that you don't have to do if you don't want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to I'm going to clip this on in place, and I'm just going to use clips this time because it's already holding the gusset to the exterior is already held, so I don't have to worry about that slipping. I just need to worry about attaching my lining panel to this. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do that on both sides, stitching all the way around, and then we will be almost done. Then we'll be ready to attach the binding, and then we will be done. All right, we're back on track. We have the lining attached. I will say I recommend doing it as the pattern says and attach these 2 panels first. However, I want to add that it actually wasn't too bad doing it this way because this gave me a chance to go over my stitching, and if anything was a little bit wonky from that first pass, I was able to kind of smooth it out and straighten it out. So, I mean, it all works out in the end, and the only difference is you just have an extra row of stitching. But we are going to hide this. Let me see, I'm going to trim this up just a little bit right here. We are going to hide this in the binding, so no one's going to see that stitching and no one's going to know that I added an extra row of stitching. So, yay for that. Okay, now the pattern does say you could use double fold over bias binding. I am going to use this. This is my favorite. This is the waterproof canvas binding, fold over binding, and it's from Wonderground Fabrics. So all I do is I'm just going to clip it on all the way around, and you can see how it hides. Let me bring some clips over, then I can keep talking. Can't do 2 things at once. Okay, you can see how it hides that stitching really well. It's just the perfect size, so you're not going to see that. Like I said. So I'm just going to clip this all the way around. The pattern does also call for or it gives you the option to add card slots to your bag. I chose not to do that on this one because I felt like it's kind of a, well, two reasons actually. One is because it is a themed fabric. I thought it would be really cute to add a teeny themed little card wallet. Just a simple thing, you know, like a little, just a little thing, almost like a business card holder, just a little thing that has a snap. And then you could just put your cards in there for the night, for your outing, or for whatever you're going to do. So that's one reason. The other reason is I'm making this bag for the Marathon Sewciety's Sewing Marathon series. And with that, we try to keep our videos in an hour. And I wanted to make sure that I had enough time to do my video. So I just left the card slots out. But if I were to make another one, and I probably will because this is a super cute pattern, I would add the card slots to that. Okay, so that is what you're doing there to attach your binding. Once you get that attached, you're going to go ahead, take it back to the machine, just like we did. You guys might have done it twice. I've done it 3 times by now. We're gonna go ahead and stitch the binding in place all the way around. We're gonna have this part down so you can push the gusset over as you're stitching, and then we're gonna repeat the whole step, the whole process for the other side to attach the binding to the other side, and then I'll be back to show the exciting part, which is turning it through and seeing what our bag looks like. All right, binding is done. Now it is the moment of truth. Let's turn this through. And I might be regretting the fact that I used Decoville Heavy. That's okay, I'll get it through. All right, guys, here is our Willow Wristlet. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I'll have to do a little bit more work to get the shaping, to get all the corners pushed out and everything, all the binding, you know, to sit how I want it to. But this is how it's going to look. It is so super cute. I don't regret too much using Decoville Heavy because I think it does give it a nice structure. And there's the side. That side is right side up. That side is also right side up. And then the top, like I said, depending on which way you're going to wear it or carry it, that's it. All right. So now let's check out this little handle, this little chain strap. I don't know if you can see this. I know it's kind of awkward here, but it is so cute. It is so cute with this little handle. It would be such a cute little handbag. Okay, and then the other option is you could put them on both, and then you've got a wristlet. I know it's a little bit hard to see. I'll take photos of both once I finish shaping out the bag at the end of this video and stuff. I just want to make sure that it lays nice for the photos, but I'll take photos so you can see the chain both as a little handbag and then as a wristlet, so you can see how that would work. And I'll link to where I got this short chain in my video description also. All right, guys, this is it. This is the Willow Wristlet. Super cute. I love this pattern. If you don't have it, make sure you get it. Again, this is from Amber. It's Sew Majestic. And again, thank you, Amber, for letting us to use your video today. It was super fun. It's a super cute little pattern that would just be so fun for a night out or a special event or anything like that. So yeah, get the pattern, have fun, guys. Thank you again for participating in our marathon sewing events. Thank you for joining me for my video. And thank you for commenting and participating and supporting me and all of the makers who are in the Marathon Society. I greatly appreciate you guys, and I couldn't keep doing this without you. So I thank you for that. So yeah, I'll link everything down below, including the Marathon Society's social pages, so that you can keep up to date on what events that we will be participating in. And again, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Please support all of the rest of the makers who are participating today. Support the pattern designers. It's because of you guys that we can do what we love, and I would love to continue to be able to do that. So again, thank you. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day, and go sew something fun.